Item 10, we're moving. Approval of the minutes of March 22nd, 2021 board meeting. Do I have a motion? Mr. Lovelace.
Well, I'm assigned to that, huh? Okay. I move that we approve the minutes of the March 22nd, 2021 board meeting.
Is there a second? Mr. Hogan seconds. Any discussion? All those approve? At 6 to none. We've had public participation, so we will go to the action agenda, and we're going to get action. That's what's going to go on. Action number 12, as necessary or appropriate on matters discussed in executive session. So, Mr. Lovelace.
I'd like to make a motion. I move that the attorney and vendor invoices requested for review in the executive session be preserved, and that the individual board members be allowed to study documents by appointment. Neither photos, copies, nor reproductions will be allowed, and notes may be taken. Respectfully submitted.
Okay, you skipped down. I was looking for
that. Was executive session.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I wanted to do selected employees first. Could we do that?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I mean, no, nothing's wrong with yours. I don't guess it matters if I take them out of order. It doesn't. Okay, well, that stands. You want to have a second? Ms. Gardner seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, and that passes 6-0. Okay, I'll take it. Ms. Gardner.
I move that we approve selected employment items as seen in Exhibit A.
There's a second. Ms. Huddle seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? That's 6-0. Opposed. So we will go to item B. You didn't put them together, did you? You just did A.
No, ma'am.
Okay. I need a motion. Ms. Gardner?
For E.
I have one.
No.
I've got one.
Okay.
I move to amend the previously adopted motion regarding sewer tap purchases purchased in 2013 and 2014 to add, the investigator will report their findings to the board chair, and the district will discontinue all activities related to this matter other than responding to inquiries and requests from the investigator or the board.
Is there a second? Mr. Lovelace seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay. And that's 6-0. I'm sorry if I missed it, but A and B, did you put the selected employment items together?
Basic.
Oh, okay, it was only, I got you. I was afraid we didn't do our employees. That was scaring me. All right, any other motions needed for the executive session? Okay, good. Then we will go to item 13, approval of proposed engineering firm exhibit D. We don't need a motion on that.
Chair Hammond, board members, Dr. Melton, thank you for this opportunity tonight to bring our recommendation of a roofing consultant to review the stone coping construction at the Chapin High School Bond Construction Addition. WM Building Envelope Consultants, LLC is a building envelope consultant that specializes in roofing, waterproofing, and exterior wall construction. This firm actually came recommended to me by a neighboring district. I was very interested in getting somebody that had no prior experience either with a project with the district, wanted to get a neutral opinion. After meeting with Mr. Waits, Mr. Atwell of WM, we felt this firm's both capable and qualified to help us to review the roof coping construction. Before I open the floor up, I did want to update the board while I had the podium tonight to let you know, give an update on the brick at Chapin High. So I've had the opportunity to meet with Meridian Brick on 2 occasions to give you some history. Hanson Brick was the brick supplier at the Chapin High Bond construction. Hanson was acquired by Meridian Brick a couple years ago. At our last meeting, Meridian brought Hancock Masonry Restoration to the high school to review the brick variation. And Hancock is committed to restaining the variated brick the last week of June at no cost to the district. So I did want to bring that update to you tonight while we were kind of on this topic. But at this time, I'll be glad to answer any questions and open up the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Cannon. Any questions on that? If not, we can entertain a motion. Okay, Mr. Lovelace.
I make the motion that the board approves the firm of WM Building Envelope Consultants LLC to advise as to a course of action concerning latent construction defects at the Chapin High School 2008 bond referendum project. The board does so with the understanding that the engineering consultant will act in an expedited manner in order to preserve remedies the board may have prior to expiration of any statute of limitations.
Is there a second? Ms. Huddle seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? And that is 6-0. Thank you, Mr. Cannon. Item number 14, second reading approval of the 2021-2022 board meeting schedule, Exhibit E. Dr. Melton, you want to address that?
Yes, ma'am. We've taken the feedback from the board, and this is presented. If there's any questions, Ms. Goggins is prepared to answer.
Looks good to me. Do I have a motion? Ms. Gardner.
I move that we approve the second reading of the 2021-2022 board meeting schedule as shown in Exhibit E.
Is there a second? Ms. Huddle seconds. Oh, I had some seconds. Sorry, didn't look that way. All those in favor? That's 6. And all those opposed? 0. All right, moving along. Got that. 15, second reading approval of proposed new board policy, DE ESSER funds as seen in Exhibit F.
I got a motion to make.
Okay, and that's an
Oh, she's,
you might want
Ms. Ross
the
has got a
general, yeah. You want to
presentation.
present?
I don't need to present if y'all are ready to vote.
No,
I'm
since
good.
this is for action, there's no presentation necessary,
No,
Ms.
that's what I
But if
thought.
there are questions, we are certainly prepared to answer.
Dr. Melton, if we have a specific motion about one of the presentations that you had having to do with the synergetic, can that be separate? You need a whole one for this one. Want to approve this and then?
Let's do this since this is
Okay.
of the record for the agenda. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do I have a motion for number 15?
Can I make my motion before then?
No, after. That's what I just
Okay,
asked.
so I'm preserved?
You're
Okay.
preserved.
Okay.
Ms. Gardner, you make us a motion for that. It's seen in item 15.
All right, do I make the motion to approve it before I make my amendment, or do I throw my amendment in there to start?
Oh, I didn't know you had an amendment.
All right, well, I'm just going to do it. You can tell me if this is wrong. I move that we, let's see, which, I'm trying to see which one it is.
I think,
Okay, so there it is. Okay, I move that we approve second reading of the proposed new board policy DE ESSER funds as shown in Exhibits F with the following amendment, that the blue highlighted wording should say, quote, "The board in conjunction with the administration will review and approve subject matter and expenditures as brought to the board in compliance with the administrative rule attached hereto, DE-R." Close quote.
okay, did you get that? I may make you read that again,
Okay?
if you don't mind,
I don't mind.
for everybody, okay?
I move that we approve second reading of the proposed new board policy, DE, ESSER funds, as shown in Exhibit F, with the amended wording as submitted in Exhibit 13, highlighted in blue, to say, quote, "The board in conjunction with the administration will review and approve subject matter and expenditures as brought to the board in compliance with the administrative rule attached hereto, DE-R." Close quote.
Okay, do I have a second? Mr. Lovett seconds. Okay, would you like to explain your
Sure.
amendment?
Right now, it just says, "We'll review this information as brought to the board," and I would like for it to say, "Will review and approve," that the administration will review, the board, and it's pretty much the same, but we're just changing the words, not just to be reviewed this information, but will review and approve the subject matter and expenditures. So we want to see what it, we want to know how the
Where
money's
the
being
ESSER funds are
spent.
going? Okay. All right. All those in favor of the amendment, the
Hold on,
motion with
hold
the,
Hold on, can I
Sure,
just throw something out for discussion? Just for the record and for some folks that have asked me about this attachment in our board packet, it referred to administrative rule attached here too, DER. I actually reached out about this particular attachment, and just so people know, that was included in a previous packet, which is why it's not included in this packet. I had some folks ask about it, so I just wanted to put that out there, that's why it's not in this packet.
Is there any other clarification before we vote, or any other question? Okay, all those in favor of the motion? Okay, and that is 6-0. Now, you have a specific motion to the ESSER funds.
I've been trying to make this all night, so just had it in the wrong place. Okay, I would like to make a motion that the administration procure the services of a guaranteed energy savings contract vendor in compliance with Section 1520.11, Request for Qualifications, RFQ, of the current district procurement code. The successful bidder after the RFQ process should be presented to the board for approval prior to award.
Is there a second? Ms. Huddle, now, would you like to speak to your motion? And then questions.
Yes. Of course, I've been an advocate for the guaranteed energy savings contract for a while. I have looked into this, and I think that it would behoove the district, because we would get guaranteed savings back from our energy. That the areas for improvement would be identified. The district would make improvements as far as air conditioning or equipment or what have you, and that we would have a guaranteed savings from this company, that they would either make their contractual obligations, or that through bonds we would be guaranteed to get a return on our investment. I think that this would make a lot of sense in a lot of ways. I know that the district has been studying it, and I think that would be admirable.
Thank you. Ms. Hines?
I just have some questions about that, Mr. Levis, if that's okay. How does that tie into, because I just don't know. How does that energy program that you're suggesting tie into what is in the suggested or proposed operations items in here? And also, if we vote on this, like what and I hate to say, like, what do you estimate those costs to be? I just honestly don't know. So if we approve this motion where we're requiring to get an RFQ or RFP or however you want to say it for this, does it negate this whole budget or does it not? This is the first time I've heard of it, so I just want to make sure I know what your motion is and how that ties into this.
Well, my understanding is that the ESSER funds can be used for
Right.
this. Okay, so it's a one-time use, and what we were trying to, what this is aimed at is identifying areas that we can have energy savings.
Okay.
We can then use our ESSER funds. For example, one of the things in here is air quality that we can use it for. As you know, air conditioning equipment and all that is a major expenditure. And we want to target not just remove and replace for older units, but we want to target improvement of air quality. So we could use the portion of the ESSER funds that Dr. Melton has stated in her goals to provide for the ESSER 2, and then there's more funds will be available in ESSER 3. And what we were trying to do was get a contractor and take bids on board, so that when it came time to use those funds, that we would have a better plan to do that, other than just remove and replace, which is what we have been doing. So the time is of the essence in this, because manufacturers or designing equipment which will I mean, there's $1.9 trillion out there, you know, that manufacturers are responding to. Time is of the essence, and I think we have to spend that by September of not this year, but the following year. So we got to do design, you know, we'd have to do a whole bunch of things to involve. So what we were trying to do, what I think we're trying to do, is get a jump on using these funds in the most advantageous method possible to get us in line to where we can guarantee ourselves some savings. These companies, there's an industry, it's the National Energy Services Coalition. All of these companies that would bid this or members of that, they're all bonded, and they guarantee you if you do certain things to increase your energy efficiency or your air conditioning efficiency, that they will give you. If it doesn't work, they guarantee you that they will return you will get a return on investment out of it. So I think it's a win-win. I think we should look into it. And I am not, after this point, qualified to, I'm not an expert in all this, but I know that our district has been looking into it, and I think they've scrutinized it fairly well. I'm not sure, but I haven't been part of that process, but I think that's the case. I think if the superintendent would allow me.
I was going to say, it may help Ms. Hines that Dr. Melton and I discussed this, and this is something, I'll let her explain to you the importance of it.
I'm not sure Mr. Lewis said I scrutinized it.
I know it, yeah.
I might need something for the record.
Dr.
That
Melton's
sounds
for this.
mean, Mr. Lovelace, but we definitely have evaluated it without doubt. I think, Ms. Blackburn-Hines, to answer your question, what Mr. Lovelace has described is right on point. This gives us the opportunity for an assessment, for a competitive bid process to occur, and then there be a review of what we are already doing as a district, and then suggestions of what we could do in addition to what we're already doing. So it would honor where we are and then move us forward with where we could be by expert opinions of people that are qualified in this field that Mr. Lovelace has described.
Thank you, Dr. Melton.
How long does that process take? Do you know, Mr. Lovelace?
The RF, I believe that a sample RFP could be submitted fairly quickly, and then I know the folks within the district, would have to tweak that to get to exactly what they want. That's the way I understand the process. So I think it could be done in a month or so. That's what I'm thinking, but I mean, I don't know that for sure.
Dr. Melton will handle that as far as, and then it's presented to us.
We'll make sure that we're in compliance, but how long it would take, I'm not sure if you're asking how long it would take for the process versus how long it would take for the analysis. Of course, the scale of the project is going to dictate how long it would take, because if we were to identify sites that may not have had capital work recently, that would reduce the scale of the project. But if we were to say all of School District 5, that of course would take a different allocation of time. So I'm not sure if that's what you're asking, or if it's the process from beginning of bid to the end of the execution. That's going to vary depending on how large of a project we do and the available competitors to be out there. But Ms. Rawls and Ms. Robinson would definitely make sure that we're in compliance with the post and make it a priority to get this posted so there could be competition.
That's right. That's the key. Now, we had to take a vote on this. We got your motion. We had a second. We discussed it. All those in favor of Mr. Lovelace's motion, please raise your hand. And that is 6-0. Now, our nice number 16 that's had to wait so long for the resolution adoption refunding bonds to refund the Series 2012B bonds, Exhibit G.
All right. Chair Hammond, members of the board, Dr. Melton, we have a wonderful opportunity ahead of us. You have a copy of the resolution, and we're going to talk about the savings briefly. Our 2012 B series bonds are callable as of March of 2022. Their callable, if we do tax-exempt bonds, we would be able to issue around the November, December timeframe of this year, tax-exempt bonds. If we chose to go the route of taxable issue, we could issue at any time. And the piece that's interesting about this is we're able to watch interest rates as we wait on the tax-exempt option to come up. If it becomes most advantageous for us and a better money saver to do taxable, or if we see rates going up before November arrives, we have the option to issue a taxable issue, which would get it done quicker. Both options have the ability to save us a large sum of money. If we're able to do a tax-exempt issue, which is the first slide, you can see based on what the estimated interest rates would be as of the November-December timeframe, you're looking at saving over the next 10 to 11 years, $7 million. That is net of issuance cost. That is after all the costs have been included in the calculations. If, based on interest rates, we find it most advantageous to do the taxable refunding, we're still looking at a $5.3 million savings over that same time period based on what estimated interest rates would be. So the request is for you to approve a resolution tonight. The resolution is for $75 million. It does state for taxable or tax-exempt issue, but the issuance of the bonds would be the necessary amount to pay off the principal on the 2012 B series bonds is what we're looking for from the resolution. And I have Ms. Heiser and Mr. Gallagher here tonight if you have any questions that they might be able to answer for you.
Thank you, Ms. Rawls. Any questions, Ms. Huddle?
I was looking at the resolution, and on page 4, this is part of section 3. The board hereby delegates, yada, 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 provided the true interest cost of the refunding bonds does not exceed 4% per annum, which is close to or more than what we're already paying. So I was kind of wondering why there's such a broad percentage in there.
Good evening, Franny Heiser with Burform and McNair. It's honestly great to be with y'all because I'm out of my house and being able to roll around on the scooter.
You're just rolling in.
We always set a higher number than we would anticipate. The amount of savings that y'all would see if we went forward would be in that $5 to $7 million range. Your superintendent would not authorize us to go forward if you didn't see savings in the range of what you're seeing on these slides. I mean, we could make that number lower.
I guess I'm still confused because the slide shows 3.53% is the rate on the existing bonds. So why would we issue new bonds at 4%? Am I misunderstanding the slide?
I'm going to refer to Mike Gallagher, who's your numbers guy.
If there's no savings, we're not moving forward with the transaction. So we're only going to move forward if we achieve a desirable savings. So that's boilerplate language that's included in the resolution for 4% true interest cost. That is boilerplate language that's included in the resolution. You can see from the numbers that 1.99 is the projected true interest cost that we're expected that you would receive. So there's no way we would get to 4%. If it were 4%, we would not move forward with the transaction.
Y'all also could approve the resolution with an amendment to have that number become 3% or 2.5%. We do want to make a distinction, though, that the taxable interest rate itself may be higher than the tax-exempt rate, but may save you more money because of the time difference value of money. So we'd certainly be comfortable if y'all wanted to amend that number and take it down to 3%. That would certainly be no problem.
Mr. Levis.
Is there a downside to the tax exempt? I mean, obviously, it's a no-brainer to look here on a screen and it shows you 7 million versus 5 million. Is there a downside side to the tax exempt bond for the borrower?
It's really a question of timing. I'll let Mike answer that because that's more of a numbers question.
It's really a matter of interest rate risk. If you wanted to lock in today, you could lock in at $5 million. Our recommendation would be wait and do tax-exempt borrowing. But the reason we're bringing the resolution today to give you both options of taxable and tax-exempt is so we can monitor the market, and if we see that the taxable performs better, we would bring a recommendation to the administration that we do it as a taxable transaction.
Okay,
But it's really a matter of managing interest rate risk.
So we're just taking the upside potential for the best of the two worlds and going with that. Okay.
Our recommendation would be to wait until November.
Ms. Hines?
I'm going to ask a question that maybe Ms. Huddle may have, just to kind of follow a theme between this meeting and a previous meeting we have. I guess my question is, why include boilerplate language at a higher interest rate or higher percentage rate, rather here with the 4%, if we could just lower it?
You know, that's a good question, and we generally have an interest rate that's higher just to protect the opportunity to go forward if in fact the numbers worked out. But I promise you the next resolution we bring you will not have any boilerplate language in it at all.
Appreciate it.
Any other questions? Ms. Huddle?
Do you have plans on, the effective interest rate, for example, on one of these, I think is 1.76. Would your plan be to issue at a higher interest rate and then there'd be a premium on the bonds? Or would we go in with, the flat or 1.8 or whatever the going rate is?
That rate takes into account any bid premium that would be received. So that's the true interest cost.
Okay. If a bid premium, this might be a question for Ms. Rawls, but if a bid premium is received, how is the premium above how is that accounted for, funds, all that stuff?
On a refunding issue,
Okay.
that bid premium is used to lower the par amount. So
Okay.
in this situation.
That's why we see lower amounts.
So it'll lower the amount that the district is borrowing, so you're going to get an immediate benefit, so we'll issue less bonds.
Okay.
And if I could mention, in order to give y'all the most flexibility, we'll make sure that the offering document, the preliminary official statement, is drafted and is ready so that if there's some change or there's an interest in moving quickly, we'll be ready to do that on your behalf.
Ms. Hammond?
Yes.
Okay. Before we make a motion or anything, I just want to point out one thing, and it's no deference to the folks that are here because I'm sure you guys are very knowledgeable, but this is essentially a sole source contract, okay? I just want to point that out. We haven't bid this out, so there are fees associated with this, $165,000 roughly in fees. It's kind of like refinancing your mortgage, and you go back to the person you got your mortgage through. There's nothing wrong with that, but I just want to point out for the rest of the board that we do have time. If we want to wait till, I wouldn't say the last minute, but I just want to make sure that we all understand that this is a sole source contract if we approve it tonight, versus another option would be to get a couple other proposals.
Okay. All that being said, Mr. Hogan.
Real quick, to piggyback off what Kathy Ms. Huddle, are there other companies that can essentially do what you guys do at the caliber that you guys do it? What are the options?
Well, I'm sure they won't say there are caliber.
Well, I guess I come back.
But there are other options.
Correct. In my day-to-day job, I have competitors.
Right. As Ms. Rawls said, the last time we discussed this, they used a bank.
Okay.
So there are other options. And again, I'm not saying these folks don't know exactly what they're doing. I'm not saying they're worth, the fees that are paid. I just want to make sure that everybody understands that built into this contract language is what amounts to a sole source improvement. So what we would be doing is approving a financial consultant under Section 710 of Procurement Code exemptions. That's what we would be doing tonight. And I just want to make sure everybody understands that.
Okay, thank you.
I want to make one thing. I did use a bank in a previous district. However, Mike Gallagher has been the financial advisor in that district for years. I did work with a different bond counsel, but it had been the bond counsel that had been that for years. So the financial advisor and the bond counsel are constant regardless of the method of issuance that is happening. That was not, they do and provide me invaluable support on the financing, the debt service side of the district. So, I mean, don't misunderstand. These people are top caliber, represent the majority of the districts in the state of South Carolina.
And I appreciate that. I like to hear that you are comfortable. And I'm not in any way, shape, or form denigrating anyone's abilities, or I just want to make sure that as a board, we understand the implications of a vote, as, you know, just to make sure everybody's aware.
Okay. Do I have a motion from this board? I have no motion. Well, Ms. Huddle, are you throwing that out that you would like to get other bids on this? Because I'm worried about the timing.
I mean, I think I heard we could issue while we could issue the taxable ones earlier, clearly there's not near as much savings, and we would not be able to issue the non-taxable until November or December. And I know we don't want to wait till the last minute. I personally would feel better if we got presentations from a couple other financial advisors that are in this field. Now, if they don't exist in the state of South Carolina with regards to municipal bonds, then they don't exist, but I would feel better personally.
Do they exist?
They do exist. However, there would be a lot of homework and research that would have to be done to get to the point where we are, because these two people know the debt structure of this district, and have years of experience with it. So yes, there are others that provide the services.
I too am, as chair, I am worried about the time frame, and I don't pretend to be an expert on bonds, but I know it's important to the district. It's all about timing for me. I guess as chair, I can make a motion. But I need to, I want to support the board. You want to make a motion? Anybody change their mind? No motions. I think we should.
How about this? I move that we defer approval of refunding bonds to refund the Series 2012 B bonds until our next board meeting, and give the CFO an opportunity, or the superintendent an opportunity, to see if there are other financial consultants who would like to make a presentation to the board.
But the decision would be made by the next meeting, not just a presentation that we.
Well, we could elect to defer again at that meeting, but
I would like to get it. I would like to make it a priority that it would be that the group that we're going to choose would be chosen, so that we can.
Ms. Hammond, if I may look at calendar, the next board meeting is 2 weeks from tonight. And of course, board packet is finalized on Wednesday, the 5th of May. This can certainly become a priority of Ms. Rawls and team, but she's also in the midst of general fund preparation. So it concerns me that I'd like to hear your voice, Ms. Rawls, I know you will say with your work ethic and that of your team, but you are in the third month almost. March and April have been your 2 months on the job. So you're going into May. Do you think that we could be prepared for what's being discussed, not voted upon thus far, for May the 10th? Or is that something we need to look farther into the 24th of May, if the board were to consider that?
Do I think I can do it? Yes. Do I think another bond financial advisor and financial counsel can be ready to present? No, I do not. I'm telling you, there is a lot of work that these two individuals do behind the scenes. I get building program updates on a regular basis from Mr. Gallagher, and it is a huge undertaking. It just is.
So back to the recommendation. Our recommendation is that the board consider approving the resolution. If that is not the will of the board this evening, Ms. Hammond, I think that if you and I could work on timeline, Ms. Rawls may be able to do it, but she is in an interesting situation in the beginning of her career here in District 5, and for her success and our success with general fund, I don't know that this needs to become her priority at this point, per my request.
Right, I understand. Okay, from what Ms. Rawls has said and what Dr. Melton has said, do I have any other board member that you want to consider? We have her motion on the table. Did I get a second? Because I guess I don't know that I got a second. Help me out on that. Did I get a second from yours, Ms. Huddle? We did not. Okay, so we really needed to, you ask her, and I just want to see if the board feels like from the answer that Marty said.
I'll
Okay.
second her.
Okay, thank you. Second that motion so we can
Yeah.
talk. Thank you. So we had a second. Marty is saying she's worried about the timeline of anybody else looking at this. Dr. Melton is worried about the turnaround and most of her, I guess, time and energy going into that with so much other things going on. So I don't know if that's changed any board's mind, but Mr.
Go ahead.
I just have a question regarding the timeline past the May 10th or June meetings. Do we have enough time to even accomplish this before we would need to accomplish it for this year? Or is this something that would be better off when we go into this situation next year, making sure that we have time to prepare to get other opinions? What are your thoughts, Ms. Rawls?
I don't want to put Ms. Rawls in that situation at
Dr.
this
Melton.
point. I'm looking at the hour. You know, the staff has had an extremely long day, as I suspect many of you that are in the working world, but the center is going to be receiving students here early tomorrow morning. So since there isn't an interest at the vote at this point, Ms. Hammond, how about you allow Ms. Rawls and me the opportunity to go back and create some tentative timelines, and then I will present that to the board officers, and we can pencil that in for appropriate upcoming meetings so that it could be scheduled and we can work towards the interest and the will of the board so that in the future, this kinds of resource would not have been, we would be more successful with our use of time and preparation.
Yes.
So, Ms. Hammond, if that's appropriate
Yes.
to you, we can move along to the next agenda item.
Okay, and the next agenda item is,
Ms. Hammond, we have to take a vote, and it's okay with
We have
me,
to, yeah.
because we had a first and a second.
Yeah.
So we
All
can
right.
vote no, but we
no,
have to take
no,
a
we do
vote.
have to vote. Okay, you want to read it again since it's been a little while?
I
thought I
She
got a second.
from Mr.
Okay, I move that we defer approval of refunding bonds to refund the Series 2012 B bonds until our next board meeting and receive proposals from additional financial consultants specializing in municipal bonds.
All those in favor of that motion? Excuse me, all those in favor to that motion, raise your hand. 1, 2. All those opposed? Okay. 4 and 2. Motion fails. What we will do, though, on this is, like my vote no was to allow Dr. Melton to handle it her way with the board so that we can be sure we've used our time and resources to the best of our ability. Okay, the next is number 17, and this is pretty much already done. It's just it's something we have to approve. Provisional approval of the 2020-2021 District Strategic Plan.
Yes, ma'am. Director of Accountability, Mr. Holden, is here. And of course, he has a lengthy presentation to try to make sure that we have context for the board. It was a request that we insert the provisional approval because, of course, there is a time frame for this. So Director Holden will likely speak in 1 or 2 long breaths, so hold on because he is going to take us through this content. Mr. Holden.
Lightning fast. As you know, we're in the 5-year planning cycle with our strategic plan, and we've also got a new strategic plan coming up. Our current plan was developed during the 2015-2016 school year, relying on data from the prior years as well as our external accreditation cycle in 2014-15 from Advanced Ed, now known as Cognia. The strategic plan focuses on 3 key areas: student achievement, school climate, and teacher administrator quality. Our plan adds in an additional area, which is a district priority. We have strategies that are built in and aligned to each of the main goal areas. You can see the strategies listed here. In the interest of time, we're not going to work through them each, but you can see one for world-class knowledge, one for world-class skills and life and career characteristics, one for school climate, one for teacher administrator quality, and one for our district priority of maximizing the resources of time, expertise, and finances. Each of those strategies is supported by a series of action steps that are aligned to the strategy. The strategies, again, support the overall goals. This is the final update to the plan that was developed during the 15-16 school year and first implemented during the 16-17 school year. As we bring this 5-year plan to a close, we are also in the process of starting a new 5-year cycle. That 5-year cycle typically aligns to the reaccreditation process, as I mentioned, but Advanced Ed/Cognia has been changing their standards and gave all districts the option to defer that visit until the new standards are in place. So, in the meantime, with the need to go ahead and develop a new 5-year plan, we have begun the process of conducting a needs assessment so that we can develop new goals for our district. A district team is reviewing historical data in 4 key areas as we speak: student achievement, school climate, teacher administrator quality, and gifted and talented. The charge of those teams is to identify strengths as well as opportunities for improvement. We also intend to draft consistent goals that would allow all schools at various levels, high school, middle school, intermediate school, and elementary school, at each level to have some consistency within their level as they approach their goals, so they'd be working from the same data source. But the actual goals and baseline data for each school would be different. The districts and schools would develop strategies and actions specific to their goal, and you can see the timeline that we're looking at right now. We are currently in the process of conducting the needs assessment and drafting goals. We intend to draft those goals and bring them back to the board for review, and then communicate new goals to schools, draft strategies, and then bring those strategies to the board for review as well, and then subsequently develop the actions. Again, needs assessment, drafting goals, drafting strategies, and drafting actions that will help us address those things. As a reminder, we are currently in the process of wrapping up that 5-year plan from 16-17 to 2021, as well as developing a new plan for the next 5 years.
If there are any questions, Ms. Hammond, Mr. Holden and I are prepared to answer.
At this point, anybody got a question? Mr. Lovelace, got a question?
I would just say that the provisional was put on there because we hadn't seen this and had a chance to study. I think the entire report is like 85 pages long, and I'll be honest with you, I have not had a chance to study and reflect on it, and so I wanted to make a motion, but I want everybody else to ask questions. So.
I have a question related to that. Was the one that we received by email today, was it substantially complete?
We've completed most of the updates for the year. The key part we're missing right now is the data. Obviously, the 2021 data is not available yet because the school year is not complete, so we'll have to go back through and make those updates. But as far as the actions and strategies for the year, yes, that is, for the most part, complete at this point.
But you guys have to submit it on the 30th,
That is
right?
correct.
So you need our approval today, and so those...
Okay.
Sorry.
Right.
So there's likely to be very few changes between what we saw today and what you'll submit on the 30th?
Correct. The only changes would be the addition of the data when it comes in for the 2021 school year.
Okay. I wrote a motion if you need it. Oh, you
right.
got one?
Who's got it? Ms. Huddle?
You want me to make it? I move we approve the 21-22 annual update to the district's strategic plan, provided that the final plan is substantially the same as the draft plan emailed to the board today.
Is there a second? Ms. Gardner seconds. Any other discussion? We'll call for the vote. All those in favor of the motion, 6-0. Oh, and I really love the next one. Do I have a motion to the next item, Ms. Gardner?
I move that we adjourn.
Is there a second? Ms. Hines seconds. All those in favor? And I really do apologize to the staff and the audience that it's so late.
Ms. Hammond, how does this work with these last 4 things?
Huh?
There's like information, they don't really
information,
know. Okay.
Truly information only.